friends, it's me. I'm just back to talk about this book, Behind Closed Doors. If you know me from my other channel, I'm Alicia. Um, if you've never seen me before this channel, then hi, I'm Alicia. I want to say welcome, and this is my book channel because that is my obsession outside of work. I'm a nurse. I work overnights, and outside of children and being a wife, like when I'm alone, I love reading books. I love having interesting stories that come in and change you and make you feel like either heavier or lighter after you read them. And this book I just finished at 1:30 in the morning today. I know this is February, and it is like the love month when we need to be talking about love stories and romance novels. I just happened to just finish this book though, and I really want to talk about it. It's one of those, like, when you get done talking about a book and then nobody you know has read it, so you can't talk about it to anybody without spoiling it. And so I really want to talk about this book. I'll do a non-spoiler version and a spoiler version. For those of you out there that have not read it, read it. It's invest time. This is worth the investment. It's a good book. It's about 330 pages. It's called Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris. And she says in an interview that she wrote this book because a friend of hers that's close to her went through something similar to what happens in the story. I feel like she used that as her inspiration for the book, but also I feel like maybe some of the things that happened in here may have really happened to her friend, and that's sad and devastating, but also makes it an even better read. I feel like some of these details, like someone had to have experienced this for it to be that detailed in this part. I like the way that the book is set up. It goes from chapter to one chapter is past, present, goes back and forth until the two kind of meet in the middle, until you get to the end and everything kind of full circle wraps together. And I love the characters. It's about Jack and Grace. They're the main couple in the middle that the book is centered around, and they have all their friends that all play a part. And we meet them all at the beginning of the book in a dinner party. And then we meet Millie, who is Grace's sister. She has Down syndrome, and she doesn't live with them. Parents live in New Zealand. Gracie lives in a special school. They don't really tell you a lot about the school other than that she lives away, and that when she comes of age at 18, she'll be living with Grace and Jack. And that's the setup. The very first chapter is kind of dry and it's kind of hard to get through because it's not something I identify with. It's about these people in this uppity neighborhood that probably has homeowners association, like Christmas with the Crank vibes, and it has like all these like people that come together that are neighbors that have a dinner party. I'm like, if you're one of those people that have dinner party kind of things, then great. I'm not that person, but it's also based in England. So this is in England, starts out at a dinner party, and this sets the scene. It's kind of dry, so it's hard to get through the first 3 chapters setting the scene, and it gives you a lot of characters to kind of get to know at first. But also, I feel like she wants it to feel that way because she's trying to show you what the outsiders see, what people on the outside of a marriage would see, and she's trying to set it up from like maybe their perspective of like this perfect marriage at this perfect dinner party, and that's what the world sees from the outside. And then after chapter 3, it kind of hits the ground running and picks it up quick, and I was very like intrigued and like zoned in until 1:30 in the morning when I put the book down, and I had to get my kids ready for school at 5:30. I had to get up at 5:30 in the morning for, get them ready, take them to school, and all the mommy things I have to do. So like I still couldn't put it down knowing that. Like, it was a good read. I'd give it a solid like 4 out of 5 stars. I would give it 5 out of 5 stars, but there's some things in the book that bother me. But I can't tell you what those things are without spoiling it, so I'll just say 4 out of 5 stars. Amazing read, 330 pages. I love the setup. I like that it's a suspenseful thriller. It's a psychological thriller. There's a lot of mind games in it. I like that, Grace is kind of like an average regular person that maybe hasn't been through any kind of trauma in her life, and so she doesn't expect or anticipate all the things to happen, but then also being with him over a course of time and learning to expect certain things, Grace learns, she becomes a different person, and I like that. I feel like early on you kind of get the gist of what the book is about, but the author, reading the back of the book, the author kind of like wants you to kind of picture together what is happening behind closed doors. I think he figured out early on, but I like that there is a bunch of psychological aspects in this book. It's got learned helplessness in it. It's got um, maybe a little bit Stockholm syndrome at first. Um, I feel like this book does a great job at painting a picture of what psychological abuse is, because oh gosh, the author, like she said, wrote it for her friend, but the author, like, mainly she said that most of the time people pay attention to physical abuse, and a lot of people undermine or downplay emotional and psychological abuse. And so that is the main purpose of this book, and it does a fantastic job. And I'm not going to tell you who the abuse is between or what it entails, but I just want you to know it's a very good book, and it has some twists and turns in it. And especially at the end, I love the ending of this book. I love that it's got like that the trope of enemies to friends in it, and it also has like it's, gosh, there's so many parts in it when I was just like, oh my god, I hope this is happening. Someone figured it out. They're gonna get everything. Everything's gonna be okay, and then it's like the rug's pulled out from under you, and then it's a very good book. It even me, I do a lot of true crime all the time. I read a lot of like books that are suspenseful. I feel like I can figure out a lot of storylines on early on, but I feel like I can predict behavior fairly well, as much true crime as I watch. And even for me, there are some things that I didn't see coming, so I like that. It's a good book to invest in. And that is my non-spoiler version of the book review. Get it? Um, for those of you that have read the book, I just want to talk about my really, okay, I guess 3 main discrepancies with the book that kept it from having a 5th star. And I can't talk about those things if you haven't read it. Otherwise, I'm just going to be giving stuff away. So shut off the video if you haven't read it. That's it. If you have read the book, okay, vent with me a little bit here, because I have thoughts and opinions and I'm frustrated with a few things. This book, mainly the first part of it that I'm frustrated with, is that we never get to find out if Jack actually killed his mother. Did that really happen? Was it just another mind game to like torture her? It doesn't make sense. My biggest discrepancy with that part is because everything that you know about serial killers or true crime or any of the things like Mindhunter or Criminal Minds, you know, all these other psychological shows that we watch teach you that most serial killers have a pattern. They kind of like, whatever may have caused the trauma or whatever psychologically is going on in their mind, whatever, why they are the way they all kind of still follow the same pattern of like animal abuse, violent acts, like shady behaviors while they're young, and then it builds up and builds up until they have their first kill. And after their first kill, then they kind of can't stop. They have like this need, like Dexter would say, he has a need that he has to do it. And like, even if it defies logic and reason, part of them, like, it's like dangling in front of them like a carrot. They can't stop. And so Jack supposedly killed his mother. And if he's telling the truth, then he killed his mother and he never killed anybody else and he never physically hurt Grace. I'm like, so if he wasn't doing it to Grace, then he had to have been doing it to somebody. And but she does question that in the book. She does question, what is he out doing when he's gone all the time? Is he with other women? Is he hurting other women? I did have a question about the canvas scene where she had to paint all these like victims. They didn't really talk about that too much. It was kind of like they kind of breezed right over it, which I'm partially like, I don't want the gross things in the book, but I did wonder, is it going to come out later that these are all actually his victims, and he actually, like, you know, won most of his cases because these are his victims that he pinned on other people. And you know, I feel like maybe he did, and we don't know because Grace doesn't know. So like, my discrepancy is that we don't get to find out those things, and it doesn't paint a clear picture because it doesn't match like the killing of a 5-year-old boy versus like a grown man that never hurts anybody, and that he's completely suffice and happy with just mind games. It doesn't make sense. And also, he does say that Grace isn't really his main torture toy. He wants it to be Millie, and that doesn't make sense to me either. That's my second discrepancy. We never find out why Millie. And the author said in an interview that it is Millie because, or not because, but it is Millie for her because she's the anchor. And most women that suffer domestic abuse of any kind stay because of an anchor of some kind, financial anchor, children, or like Millie, where like he's holding this person over you. So if you do anything wrong, that person will get hurt and then you can't do anything. And so you learn helplessness because of an anchor. But he never in the book explains why Millie is the person that he wants, why she is his point of attraction, the target. And then there's a lot of times, like a stalker, like if you watch the show You, all about stalking, stalkers, they can't help themselves. Like they have this need to be around their target. And so he's perfectly fine keeping Millie away to torture Grace. Maybe that's just his pleasure right now. But he said multiple times that Grace is not his target as a torture toy, it is Millie. And if it is Millie, then why is it that he's perfectly okay restraining himself from seeing Millie and having her over as often as he would want if she's really the intended target? And so we never, like, maybe Millie is just what he said was his target to further torment Grace, knowing that would hurt her. And so maybe in a way, it is really Grace that's the target, and he's doing these things to torture Millie, to torture Grace. And Grace is the target. He's just not telling her that. So in my opinion, you guys, we need more information. We need a second book. I feel like my third discrepancy is just more about, we didn't get really bonded to Jack's character. It picks up and they're already married first chapter. They're already in scene 1 of a dinner party together where it's like showing you the tension and eggshells and trauma they're on. It talks a little bit about their wedding, and a little bit about the meeting, how he met her. But it never really lets you get attached to him as the good guy that she saw in the beginning. Because a lot of women don't have an anchor and they stay because they are attached to that person for psychological reasons. They're in love with them. They secretly feel like that person's going to be, like, this is all a game. What's happening? You're going to change. You're going to change. It's going to get better. And right off the get-go, he pulls off the mask the day after his wedding and says, this is me. I'm a psychopath and you're my torture toy. And he gets to the point pretty quick. But we never get to see the side of him that she fell in love with. So I don't get to feel that devastation quite as much in the book. So that's my third discrepancy. I feel like a second book would be amazing. If she wrote a second book, I would love to see. I love the ending. I love the ending so much that it was Esther, and I secretly wanted Esther to, like, the part where she was shading I was like, I would have totally fell for that, and that makes me feel so stupid, but also that's how you're supposed to feel, because that person has thought of things you haven't thought of because you're not a psychopath. But shading in those words, I thought for sure this is it. Esther saving her, and then she figures out that it's just another game. And I was like, wow. But at the end, when Esther did know, and it's like they all saw the red room and they all knew exactly what was going on, and everything made sense at that point. And Esther, it's like she knew all along. But oh gosh, I love the ending. I just wish that a book number 2 would show, like, what does Grace find out after he's dead? Does she find out that he really did or did not kill his mom? Are there others? Is there, like, secret trophies in the house somewhere that's hidden? What else is hidden in the house that she doesn't know about? And I mean, does she, like, sell it and have a fresh start with Millie and they live happily ever after? And also, you could talk a lot about a second book about how she kind of heals and recovers. And I don't think she'll ever be able to be married again, but we'll see. I feel like for a lot of survivors of abuse, you need to have hope and you need to believe that love is still amazing. And I feel like a second book would kind of show the healing part of it and give us the answers that we need, that I need. So yeah, that's my main discrepancies with the book. I hope that you guys, I feel like those discrepancies, they're not bad because it's just me wanting more. It's me wanting more from the book. So I guess maybe it could be 5 stars because that's what the author should do. They should write a book that makes you want more, that makes you need more answers, more pages. And she did a great job there. I like this book. Fantastic read. I will be recommending it. I've already recommended it to my mom and everybody else that I know. Yes. So comment below if you guys watch this and have any of the same opinions or a different opinion. I'd like to hear what other things I'm not thinking of or just haven't said, or if there's just something else in the story you picked up on that I didn't. I mean, comment below. Welcome to my channel. It's my first video, my very first book I get to review. I know it doesn't match being the thriller domestic violence book in the month of February, but I mean, that's what I just read. So I hope you guys, keep coming back to my channel. Like and subscribe. If you want me to continue making videos, I'm probably going to do it anyways. I have so many books I need to talk about. And yes, I'm happy to have a community here. This is my second YouTube channel community I'm starting, and I'm really glad to have you, anybody that watched the video today.